Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Financial Astrology. All right, folks, it's been a little while since I've done a video. I've just been, there's been so much kind of news. There's just been so much that's been happening. Oh, it's almost too much to kind of keep up with it all, isn't it? It's so ridiculous everything that's been happening. But I thought it was time that I do another kind of a financial video because it's just you know we need to talk about the economy. Yeah, we need to talk about the economy. So I'm going to be talking about the US economy in particular. The global economy, of course, it's still. I mean, everyone is reacting. Everyone, of course, is reacting to the cray cray that they're just facing from Duck L'Orange. I hope you can see me okay. I think hopefully I'm better lit than I don't know, then it looks to me on camera. But I mean, I've literally got the light right in my face, so you should be able to see me clearly. I hope. Who else is here? So we have got Brenda Allen is in. We have got Angela Locke is here. Hello, Angela. We've got Old Silver. We've got Helen Murray. Kimberly, ooh, where did you go? Kimberly's here. Greetings to all. She's saying. Carly is here. People saying it looks fine. Angela's saying. Carly is saying I look fine. Excellent. So that's good. That's the most important thing. Right. So as you know, this is Hogarth's financial astrology, and this is just an opportunity to kind of touch base, keep up to date with all of the transformations, all of the things that are happening. And we are really living in extraordinary times, in historical times. You've heard me say this before, but I think you can all can agree this really is the case. We are seeing the most remarkable things happening, and not really in a good way. Nothing lasts forever, of course. The bad times will also pass, but it is worrying. And I've not spoken about it for a while because, like I said, I've been very busy. Like I've been traveling a lot as well. As you guys know, I'm here in Germany, flying home tomorrow. But I think it's important to kind of look at the kind of economic numbers. The reason why is because, as everyone knows, America's economy is one of the most important for the global economy. This is why Trump is doing what he's doing, because he knows it will make an impact. And the trouble with malignant narcissists is that they like all forms of attention, even negative attention. Anything that is going to get them some form of attention, they're prepared to do. But if they suffer narcissistic injury, which has happened with Trump recently, if we remember the whole debacle with the military parade and the squeaky wheels and the soldiers deliberately walking out of step and walking with a drone and all of this kind of stuff, he got rinsed. Yeah, Trump got rinsed globally, and North Korea was scathing. You don't even know what they said about that parade and Pete Hegseth and all of this kind of stuff. And then we saw, as the result of that narcissistic injury, there was, bombing of Iran, etc., and all of this kind of stuff. So that's kind of like the political side for it. But what we also have is now the financial side. So you guys won't need me to remind you, but for anyone that may be watching this channel for the first time, welcome. And please be sure as well to like and subscribe. But basically, Trump received another narcissistic injury because he's been telling everyone. Now, anyone who's got any clue of economics knew that this was a whole pile of BS. I mean, I've known this would be an absolute disaster. Everyone's been saying it's been an absolute disaster. Kamala said it would be an absolute disaster. Lots of people. Just because lots of people say something doesn't mean that lots of other people listen. Yeah. It's remarkable what human beings do not listen to when they don't want to. But anyway, that's a subject for another podcast, I would imagine. And the books have been well and truly cooked. I wouldn't even say cooked. I would say they have been flambéed and barbecued. yeah, and sprayed with petrol and vodka, and just completely, completely blown up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you, and we're going to just go over some stories. Also, as well, so just to give little updates, Wendy's saying hi, everyone. Angela Locke says, I'm tired of rising prices every time I shop. Yeah, because it affects the whole world. It's just making everything more unstable. And what's this saying here? Carly Benov says, the state of California is the fourth largest economy in the world. Yes, it is. And you'll remember what I've been saying about Gavin Newsom. And remember the cards that I've been pulling. I know everyone says, oh, go, Hoagie, it's impossible. It's constitutionally impossible. It's not going to happen. None of the states are going to secede. And I've been saying, look, I've been given visions of this, but I think many are actually starting to agree with me. Think about it. If you're California or if you're a blue state and you know that you're giving most of your money to the red states, propping them up, and you know they have voted for policies that harm you and the whole globe, yeah? And particularly if you're Gavin Newsom, because he's already said this already, and you know that you are the fourth largest economy on your own, yeah? That's just California. They've not only got the money, they've also got the food. They've also got the trade links, yeah, because remember, they are on the West Coast, yeah? They're on the West Coast, which means they are east of China, east of Japan, etc., and stuff like that. Those main trade routes pass Hawaii and come to California. One of those docks in California is one of the busiest docks in America, where the goods and services come in and out. And I think the way things are going, it could well be the case that blue states just may not have a choice. I think we are rapidly reaching the point where blue states are going to feel like, you know what, we're going to have to go it alone. This is crazy, because it's only happening. It's only happening now. Yeah, it's starting to happen now, but wait for another few months, and then when it gets closer to Christmas, once it starts getting cold, and when people have to start renewing stuff for school, when people are back from holidays and all of this kind of stuff, you'll see. Anyway, a few more people are here, and then let's see. Yeah, Old Silver says, and California is under attack from Trump. Yes, it is, quite literally. And Wendy says, I would move to California in a blink of an eye if it did secede. Yeah, because what is happening is a combination of economic sabotage combined with economic, almost kind of suicide, kamikaze stuff. I mean, this is absolutely bonkers. This doesn't make sense. This only makes sense for the top 0.1%. What is happening only makes sense for maybe about 20 families in America. And I'm not even joking. Like, the top 0.1% of Americans are the ones that benefit the most. For me, this is it's been said on other channels, but I think this is class warfare, this kind of level of stuff. But rather than me just saying stuff, let me just back it up. Yeah. And then we'll look again a little bit as well at the Astrology of America, and why I anticipated that these kind of things would happen, and why the predictions that I've been making for years basically, have come true. But it's always good to back things up. So let me just do share screen. Let's make sure the sound button is on. Yes, it is. And what do I want to share with you first? Let's talk first of all about the jobs data. Yeah. And share this with you. So here, this is an article from Reuters, as we know, what internationally recognized news organization. So here, Trump fires U.S. labor official over data and gets earlier than expected chance to reshape Fed. All right. So you can see this article is dated August 2nd, 2025. And as I'm talking to you now, it's now August 3rd here in Hanover, Germany. Yeah. So I'm 1 hour ahead of my local time. And then summary, Trump claims in social media posts that numbers were rigged against him. No evidence to back Trump's claims. Fed Governor Kugler resigns, giving Trump an early chance of an appointment. Oh, God, shouldn't have resigned. Anyway, economists already have growing concern about US data quality. Yeah, so this is actually the quality of the data, which is now being questioned, I think, for one of the first times since they started producing figures like this. So anyway, here we are. President Trump on Friday fired a top Labor Department official on the heels of a market-shocking week scorecard of the US, of a market shocking weak scorecard of the US job market, accusing her without evidence of manipulating the figures and adding to an already growing concerns about the quality of economic data published by the federal government. In a second surprise, economic policy, I'm a bit tired. In a second surprise economic policy development, that's actually quite a tough sentence, the door for Trump to make an imprint on a Federal Reserve with which he clashes almost daily for not lowering interest rates, which would be a bit of a disaster at this stage, because that would contribute to inflation. Rates opened much earlier than anticipated when Fed Governor Adrian Kugler unexpectedly announced her resignation. Adriana Kugler unexpectedly announced her resignation on Friday afternoon. So if we look here, the two developments further rattled the stock market, already reading from its latest barrage of tariffs announcements and weak jobs data. The benchmark for the S&P 500 sank to 1.6% in its largest daily drop in more than 2 months. So you've got that there. So basically, and here, look, Friday began with the BLS reporting that US economy created only 73,000 jobs in July, but more stunning were net downward revisions showing a 258,000 fewer jobs have been created in May and June than previously reported. 258,000. We need accurate jobs numbers. I've directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. This is Trump, I think they're quoting. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified, Trump said in a post on Truth Social. So here already we see that this he is basically demanding that the books be cooked to save him from narcissistic injury. I mean, this is madness. America is already struggling as it is already with kind of credibility issues and all that stuff. Obviously not for you guys watching. You guys have been going through all of this with myself and others, everyone else as well who's looking on this with any kind of compassion or international kind of flavors, looking at this madness with horror and despair. But you know, for some people, all of this stuff still hasn't touched the sides, but it will. Yeah, it will. And it's just astonishing. So if we go, I'm going to show you another clip, which I think kind of puts it a bit more succinctly. Let's see here. Another one we need to talk about is tourists or the lack thereof. So here you can see this page. You know, you've got now they're calling it Las Vegas. Sorry, you've got all these different stories down here. Yeah, all of these stories of how tourism is going down. The top one. 1 minute.
Saftig, knackig und einfach delicious. Snack the summer mit der köstlichen Ondine.
Sorry, the adverts will be in German. Oops. Let me just rewind this back.
Stunning images of near empty passenger planes are popping up on social media. These international flights have many tourists flying to the USA practically alone. Shauna Massengill flew from London to Chicago. Look, barely anyone on board.
There was nobody there. There was nobody in my row. It was really shocking. I've never been on a flight like that.
Let me make sure. Could you hear that? I just want to check. Did the sound come through? Is it playing okay? If someone could just give me a quick yes to make sure that that was all right. Did you hear the clip? Did you guys hear the clip? If someone could just let me know in the comments. Could you hear the clip? Yes. All right, good. Right, I'm going to share it back again. I just want to make sure that I'm sharing content with you that you can hear. So go back here. I'm just going to play it for, it's only 1 minute, 41 seconds anyway, so I'll start again, a little bit back.
So, look, barely anyone on board.
There was nobody there. There was nobody in my row. It was really shocking. I've never been on a flight like that.
This flight from Toronto to New York is also practically empty. And a flight from Toronto to Fort Myers, row after row of empty seats. Here in California, international travel is predicted to decline by 9% this year, driven by higher tariffs imposed by the Trump administration and negative sentiment toward the U.S. CBS travel editor Peter Greenberg.
The drop in numbers of Europeans traveling to the U.S. is staggering, and depending on the country, it's as down as much as 42% over last year. That's just Europeans not traveling to the U.S.
He says the numbers are worse for our neighbors to the north.
Canadians traveling to the U.S. down as much as 75%.
You're coming in from Montreal?
Yes.
And how was the flight full?
No, it was about 70% full.
Have you noticed amongst your fellow Canadians that they are less interested in coming here?
Yes, many of them.
Here in New York, tourism is also being hit big time, once again driven by negative sentiment toward the USA.
This year, 400,000 fewer tourists are expected to visit the Big Apple. But these visitors from France say they're happy they're here.
And you're
So that is giving you, let's stop the share on that. That is giving you guys an idea of flavor. Many of them, forgive me if that might be stuff that you know already, but I'm just giving you an idea of the things that are being reported in the news. There's even more that's being reported by, independent media, i.e., YouTube channels like mine, or, things like programs like Midas Touch, etc. There's a lot of reporting on this. The mainstream media are starting to pick up on it now. But like you said, tourism travel from Europe is way down. I think from Germany it's down very low. I think it's like nearly like 40% or something like that. But this also includes Australia as well. There are so many horror stories of things happening to people literally being stripped, finger searched, locked up, incarcerated, their families not being informed. And now, to add, this is why I think this is deliberate. They are now adding a tourist visa, integrity visa thing, which you have to pay $250 per person on top of the expense of the travel. This is psychotic. This is psychotic behavior. It just beggars belief. That it is, for me, this is naked sabotage. It's sabotage. 117. Brendan says that's because he's always cut the books in his businesses. Yes. Old Silver says, I truly believe they are doing this all on purpose. Yeah. I mean, what other explanation can there be? This isn't just incompetence. It's not. You can work this out. It's like, okay, tourism is now tanking because of the tariffs. I know what we'll do. We're gonna now impose a $250 per person surcharge for an integrity visa, while at the same time searching through people's phones, searching through their bodies, locking people up. It's deliberate. It's deliberate. But the question is why? Yeah, why? And then Angela's saying, yeah, they don't want anyone to have any freedom. Old Silver said Jake Bro was talking about as he was at Las Vegas airport. Old Silver says, I hope everyone boycotts the USA to let the billionaires know how unhappy we all are. I think what has happened, there's a kind of hysterical madness that has overtaken the elites. A kind of frenzy, this kind of rabid, this is going beyond greed now. This is some kind of ideological, weird kind of warfare, kind of destructive, psychotic, demented ideology that we see here. No sane person would do this. You know, and it's not just because like Trump wants to be like, well, I believe in tariffs. No, there's more to it. This is just, it's just crazy. It is just madness. Let's share another clip with you. That's tourism. We also need to talk about the jobs market. So I'm going to play this for you. This is like a little compilation, but anyway.
Well, there it is. One of the worst jobs reports that we have seen for the U.S. economy in a very, very, very long time.
I just got fired without warning.
It only took me 874 applications to find a new job across 9 months. The job market's fantastic.
So, with the recent jobs report coming out being absolutely abysmal, I thought we should take a look at the current job market. People getting fired, not getting hired, and all the other problems that come with this situation. We have a ton of stuff to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos, and I don't want to waste any more time on the intro. Let's just jump into the jobs report.
The jobs report was released this morning for the month of July, and the results were bad. I mean, it was worse than bad. It was terrible. Not only did the results come in below expectations, but the report says that they overcalculated the amount of jobs that were created in May and June by 258,000 jobs. Okay, so in the month of May, the U.S. government reported that the labor market added 144,000 jobs, but in fact, it was only 19,000. They reported that in June, the labor market added 147,000 jobs, but in fact, it was only 14,000. Okay, now let's come.
Only 14,000 jobs were added in June. That's the real figure.
Cover the jobs report for the month of July. So for the month of July, the U.S. labor market added a net 73,000 jobs, and this came in well below expectations. It was ranging from 110,000 jobs to be added all the way up to 140,000. And I just want you to keep this in mind, that I expect, and probably so many other people, that this July figure, like the 73,000 jobs added, probably going to be revised downward and heavily. It could even be negative.
Because how many times have we heard this again and again? Jobs report comes in really strong. Oh, the economy's doing really well. And then, a couple months later, it gets revised down hundreds of thousands of jobs. And I guess we're all just supposed to ignore that and just see the initial statistic and believe that everything's okay. I mean, I've been hearing the same story since I basically started making videos on this channel. And now when the initial report comes out that there's only 73,000 jobs, whenever they do revise it down, it's probably going to look non-existent. So there are barely any jobs being created currently, all while tons of people are also getting fired.
Good morning. Well, verdict's in. I no longer have a job. I got a text message after 15 years of working for somebody loyally. Text message. No meeting, no phone call, just a cowardly text message telling me I don't work there anymore. What a guy. Sounds like a guy I should have quit on a long time ago, right?
Imagine working somewhere 15 years and all you get is a text message saying, we don't need your services anymore. I'll see you later. And I agree with the top comment from this clip. Everyone's replaceable. No such thing as loyalty anymore. Welcome to the club. Lost mine last week. Go to work tomorrow when he says he sent a text to you. Tell him you never got it and let him fire you in person, because it definitely seems like they wanted absolutely no conflict. I mean, this is an even lower level compared to the Zoom call firings. And we have a comment from one of you guys as well. I'm a software developer with 25 plus years of experience. I've worked at NASA, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, just to name a few. Haven't been able to find an IT job in 2.5 years.
Wow. Yeah. So I'll stop the share there. So do you see, this is what is happening? We can see what is happening. Yeah. Trump's tariffs are attacking America's status and credibility around the world and its actual ability to earn money as a nation, these tariffs, because of course the bill, the fee is charged to the companies, yeah, the importer, and they have to then put their prices up. Trump has just put 50% tariffs on Brazilian goods. Most of the world's coffee comes from Brazil. We all know that America is a nation of many, many coffee drinkers, yeah? You know, after all, I mean, this is also the country that gave us Starbucks, etc., and stuff like that. Based, they came out of Oregon, didn't they? I've been to the original Starbucks place, and of course, you know, a lot of these were variations on the Italian classics, which I was actually taught. A lot of them originated in Sicily, etc. But that's a side story. This isn't a history lesson about coffee, which is Ethiopian, by the way. It was discovered by an Ethiopian goat herd. There we are. In the late 1500s. So look at that. I couldn't help myself, but I ended up making it a history lesson. But the whole point is, we all know that Americans love their coffee. Yeah, we all need coffee. Everyone loves coffee, pretty much. Now imagine that coffee now becoming 50% more expensive. Yeah, because of that 50% tariff. That means that is whatever the price of your coffee is, imagine that becoming 50% more expensive. Now, will they pass on the full 50% from the tariff? We'll have to see. Taco, you know, flinches and flick-flacks all around and stuff. He says one thing 1 minute, he says another thing the next. But just think of what an impact that will make if your coffee, it doesn't even have to reach the 50%. Imagine if it became 10% more expensive, 20% more expensive, let alone 50. So what the America is losing in terms of revenue and jobs and stuff like that is obviously not going to be covered by what the government is making in tariffs. And the money that is making from tariffs is not going into infrastructure and stuff like that. It is literally being given to the billionaires. So do you see, this is why I've had to come on the channel today, because I'm like, this is absolute insanity. And it can only mean one thing. And it's deliberate. And I just find it astonishing. What's this? Millie says, you need to read the book, The Haves and the Have-Yats. Wow. Explains a lot about the ultra rich and pretty much why we are where we are now. Yeah. And then Chris Cassidy says, is there anything he doesn't lie about? No, he lies constantly for Trump. Lying is breathing. And then Old Silver puts, it's not personal, it's just business. Let's just see here. They want to control us in every aspect of life, says Angela. Oops. What's this here? Dragon Riser says, I drink coffee all day, my worst nightmare. Right. And then someone's here saying chocolate prices will rise also. Of course, how can they not? And Angela's saying olive oil constantly rises. So you have this elite that are just trying to make life as expensive as possible for everyone. With the whole thing with the jobs, there were many more clips that I looked at that I've seen by independent YouTubers talking about the jobs market, you know, for months now. And a lot of these people, like it's like the job losses, like particularly in the tech sector because of AI. You know, 20,000 jobs here, 30,000 jobs there. It's crazy. We really are living in a very, very intense time. One of the things I want to share with you, though, let me just make sure. Let me see if there's any more clips I want to share with you. Let's see if we can find a bit more on the tourist. With the tourist stuff, what is worrying about that is that is billion. They estimate around about 12.5 billion in losses. Let's just see here. See the global impact of the system. What's this? The collapse of US tourism. Let's see here. Oh no, I'd have to. Let's just here. Oh look, let's just quickly look at this.
Der tägliche Staub nervt. Zeit für den Swiffer Staubmagnet. Effektiv bei 100% Staub. Nimmt Staub auf und bindet ihn. Wie ein starker Magnet. Selbst an schwer erreichbaren Stellen. Game over für Staub. Swiffer Staubmagnet. Schnell wieder sauber.
I don't know what that is like in English. Oh,
So
saftig. Sorry, guys.
So luftig. So knusprig.
So,
Was eine Kreation.
Tja, mein Geschmack ist halt exquisit.
Die neue Kreation von Wagner. Erlebe jetzt außergewöhnlichen Pizzagenuss.
Sorry, guys. There we go.
Things have changed dramatically in recent years. Las Vegas is definitely not what it used to be, and you just might be surprised at how bad the situation has gotten. After years of record visitor numbers and casino profits, tourism is finally falling. Now you might be thinking, but Jacob, haven't you been promoting Las Vegas for over a decade? Don't you want people to come here and visit? Absolutely. And in that time, I have developed a reputation for telling people about both the good and the bad about the place that I love. We're gonna dive into this disaster that has hit Las Vegas, but don't worry, because I'm also gonna show you how you can benefit from this mess.
No, I've not watched this stuff.
One of the Las Vegas Strip's most beloved cheap food spots closed forever in 2024. For years, this place represented everything that made Las Vegas affordable to people who cannot afford five-star dining at every single meal. Ocean One Bar and Grill was the kind of restaurant where families could eat here without breaking their vacation budget, and locals would recommend it to tourists looking for a cheap place to eat.
Ocean One is
They were
closed?
well known for having every item on their lunch menu cost just $4.99, and you could get 3 cocktails for $10. The writing was on the wall when the prices started to climb in the months leading up to the closure. You can see that they wanted to keep their prices as low as possible, but they're struggling to survive in an atmosphere where pretty much everything costs more. This wasn't just the loss of one restaurant. It was the death of the cheapest good food that you could find at the center of the Las Vegas Strip. Now that a reliable, budget-friendly option is gone, it's just another sign that the Strip is pricing out the average visitor who made Vegas what it is.
Right, I'll leave it there. That gives you an idea. So in a way, that's a bit more of an inflation story, really, isn't it? That one there. I never ate at that place, but I heard about, because you guys know I'm a foodie. Oh, and I ate some delicious, I've been eating some delicious food here in Germany. But knowing that that place has closed down, I was in Las Vegas last year, 2024. I mean, the prices were shocking. I mean, look, the prices have to come down. The diddling and diming was a joke, but it was heaving. It was busy. The atmosphere was buzzing. I've just been seeing lots and lots of places that are like via social media, just empty. Yeah, or much fewer people. And a lot of people that work in Las Vegas are also paid in tips as well. So, yeah, astonishing. What's this? Kimberly says, lol, my thinker just turned on Trump. GPA made his money running a best little house in Alaska. He brought his money to New York and built his fortune, family business. Trump's grandpa, I think you wanted to say, made his money running a best little house in Alaska. Do you mean a house where illicit things happen? Is that what you mean? Let's see here. Ellen Z says F-45 is going scorched or earth. He's about to pass. Oh, let's see. I mean, it can't be soon enough. But then you get bloody JD Vance, isn't it? Then you get JD Vance, which is, my gosh, in many ways even worse. What I'm going to do is, how am I going to move this screen to the side here, and let's give you a little bit of astrology. get my Kala software open. And then I'm going to share. Oh. All right, let's do 1 minute. Let's do file. Let's do open. Let's do global. And then let's just do country. USA, where is it? USA Declaration of Independence chart. Open. Let's minimize that down and let's share my screen with you and let's look at what is going on. Entire screen. And then here I'm going to share this with you. All right. So here is the Declaration of Independence chart. Yeah, many of you watching would have seen this before. This is, of course, 7th of July, 1776 at 6:30 p.m. Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia time. And PA, which is Pennsylvania, isn't it? And this is a chart that I like to use. Quite a lot of us Vedic astrologers use this chart. The reason why I use it is because it is very accurate and it's very reliable. It's a very reliable chart. So here you can see here America is the Sagittarius rising. Now this is a big part of why Sagittarius is a brilliant sign. It's first of all, it's a fire sign, yeah, and the rising sign of any chart is the personality. It's what immediately comes across. So of course, America is a very fiery, very passionate place. It is about the truth, seeking the truth. Yeah, seeking the truth. However, Sagittarius is also about arguments as well. It's also about politics. It's about conflict. It deals a lot with passion because it's a fire sign, but it also has a lot to do with not only spirituality, but organized religion. We need to remember that. Organized religion. And as we know, for better or for worse, America on the whole is a deeply religious base or faith-based, particularly when it comes to things like Christianity, etc., and stuff like that. Now, the founding fathers recognized that this could be an issue, so they insisted on the separation of religion and state. And we see here that the Republicans, GOP, and Trump, who can't even hold a Bible the right way up, are doing their best to push this agenda. If we also think of Opus Dei as well, who are, you know, the part of the powerful, influential group, which is also connected with Project 2025 and the Heritage Foundation and all of this conservative think tanks, etc. A lot of that has got the evangelical, neo-fascist Christian stuff going on. Yeah. So there is that element there because every nation will behave like its chart, just like people do. When I do consultations for people and I look at their ascendant, you know, it shows a lot. And then of course you look at where the sun is, you look at where the moon is. If we look here, the sun in the US Declaration of Independence chart is in the sign of Gemini. Gemini is a sign of business. It really is. It is business. It is communications. It is emails. It is languages. It is the whole ops of doing business. And in the USA chart, it sits in the 7th house. 7th house is anyone that's not us. 7th house, it also deals with business, it deals with relationships. It's also associated with marriage, but it's very much business and legalities. America is also a highly litigious culture as well. There's lots of lawsuits, you know, people being sued left, right, and center for this, that, and the other. 7th house has a lot to do with suing, but it's not just that the sun is there. It's that it's there with Jupiter. So the sun is CEOs, yeah, leadership, the kingdom, yeah, that we're building. Jupiter is the ideology, the teachers, the philosophy of things. So there's a philosophy of litigation. Venus is to do with goods, services being bought or sold, yeah. Also, it has a lot to do with wealth as well. So, of course, America is also an immensely wealthy place. But the 7th house are also associated with imports and exports. America exports a lot of its what? Arts and culture to the rest of the world. Venus is a planet of arts and culture. Jupiter is ideology. But here you see Mars is here. Mars is what? Conflict, war. If you think about it, America's been in a constant state of war for decades. I mean, decades. You could say since Vietnam, really. And I'm sure you guys are great historians as well about, about these things. You'll be able to tell me even more. But I think it's safe to say since Nam, it's pretty much been bubbling away since then, and new wars seem to be being invented all the time. Yeah, here it is. Mars, planet of war, in the 7th house of relationship, open enemies, foreign lands. And it's there with the planet of ideology. Yeah, but Jupiter here is not in a friendly sign. Yeah, Jupiter is the planet that does deal with religion and philosophy and beliefs. Yeah, and he's opposite the ascendant, opposite his ruling sign. And he's essentially in one of his signs of detriment. Yeah, this is a detrimental sign for Jupiter. And Mars in particular as well, which doesn't like Mercury, doesn't like being in Gemini either. It's too, when Mars is in Gemini, it becomes too argumentative. Yeah, too attacking. Whenever I see this in a client's chart, I know that they almost always argue with their brother. They may love their brother a lot, but the brother will be very mouthy, very argumentative. Yeah. So you've got those elements there. But the most important thing to understand is this combination here. Yeah, this combination here. Now, I've not said it that much because I think it's a little bit, tough for people to kind of accept and reconcile. But you see here's Pluto retrograde, 6 degrees, 48 minutes of sidereal Capricorn. And it's there with K2. K2 is known as the Moksha Karka. He deals with liberation from this world. So you've got to bear in mind, this is when America declared. And we need to also understand, if we think of Trump's tariffs, yeah, which are a tax on the American people, yeah, because the importers have to pay the tariff, which they pay to the government, and they then have to pass the prices on. When we think of the Boston Tea Party, part of it, now correct me if I'm wrong, but what my understanding is, the big part of what that is about is because there was taxes on tea. Yeah, taxes on tea. King George, the Mad King, imposed tea taxes on the colonies. That tax was said to be 3%. And they threw, when the tea came into Boston, they threw the tea overboard in protest, and hence the Boston Tea Party. Yeah, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's my broad understanding of it. That was a 3% tax. The minimum tax hike that any American is going to get now on imported goods is 10%. And that's Britain getting the lowest one, 10%. So imagine 10% tariff versus 3 is a big difference. But imagine, think of all the other stuff. Brazil has just been slapped with 50. China was the ridiculous amount. Do you remember, what was it? I think it got up to 200% at some point, and China was just like, oh, stop. Nothing's going to happen between our countries now. Yeah, it was just ludicrous. So we're talking about historical tax rates really that have never happened in America before. It is unprecedented. But anyway, this K2, like I said, is the Moksha Karka, means liberation from this world. But K2 is the body of the dragon without the head. K2 can be headless, can be blind to things. When K2 is with Pluto, which is god of the underworld, and it's retrograde, which means there's more karma on it, this can be quite almost a psychotic combination. And again, this is not to be bad to everyday Americans. I'm not talking about you guys that are watching, that are lovely, educated people, who know a thing or two about life. I'm just talking about those that decide to take off their heads and not think at all. K2 can deals with people like that. And many of us try it, it's a form of escape, isn't it? We can't always be plugged into the news. We have to detach at some point. But there is a point where we can have a healthy break for something, and then we can reach the point of delusion. This can be a highly, highly psychotic, weird combination. When I saw that and when I understood that in the US, I was like, oh my God. Like, first things first, what I'd say, the Constitution date needs to be changed. Yeah. I would say America needs a brand new constitution, and with a planetary configuration that's better than this one. Yeah, there's some amazingly powerful things here in this chart as well, but that combination, and I've only said it once or twice before, and I'm going to say it here, and again, it's not to spook people, but this here for me is one of the combinations for slavery and exploitation. Why? Pluto is the god of the underworld. Pluto is always dealing with power. Yeah, power, good or bad. When we have an empowered Pluto, we become very powerful people. Yeah, when we can integrate the shadow, etc., do our shadow work and all of this kind of stuff. But it will also show where that corruption can be as well. For the American chart, it's happening in the second house. The second house deals with the face, neck, and the teeth. Yeah, it deals from here to here is what the second house is associated with, which is naturally attributed to the characteristics of Taurus. Second house deals with food, deals with speech, what we eat and drink, what we consume. Also deals with our values, deals with our money, deals with our savings. And I'll tell you something funny about Pluto. Well, it's not funny. I'll tell you something quirky about Pluto. Pluto deals with the most extreme of the extremes. Pluto can deal with extreme wealth. People that have Pluto money, they can be so rich that you can't even count all their money. Yeah, we're talking like people like Putin, all of this. Putin is the richest man in the world, by the way, just so you know. I don't care what anyone says. He has been for decades, because he's been plundering the wealth of Russia for decades. He's never going to be in the richest people in the world are not in the Forbes top 100 list. I mean, they really will be, you know, very materially rich, but there are people that are even richer than them, and we will not necessarily even know their names. That kind of money. But Pluto can also deal with extreme debts. At the time of doing this, what is this? America's, what, 35 trillion or something like that? 35 trillion in loose change in debt. And then there's unsecured debts as well. But you see this kind of headlessness, this K2, it doesn't think, and it's like Pluto deals with the billionaires. It literally deals with like Venus is associated with billionaires as well. But for me, like Pluto really is like the This is where we get the name plutocrat from. Autocrat, plutocrat, oligarchy. This is what I put in my book. It's all about Pluto, and it's got this combination with this headless. Weird, because the nodes of the moon are very strange, but like K2 can have a very kind of psychotic bunker mentality. I think this is part of the reason why they're all building these bloody bunkers, you know, underground bunkers and all of this stuff, because they're like, oh, yeah. It's like they're not thinking, they're possessed. And it's very, very, very strange. Saturn at the moment is in sidereal Pisces with retrograde, with a retrograde Neptune, and Ceres is there right now. They're both in bed together. Yeah, they're both at the same degree, both at 7 degrees. Saturn is at 7 degrees 19 minutes. Neptune is at 7 degrees 43 minutes. I'm saying they are in bed together. Literally, they're at the same degree. It's not just that they're in the same house, they are in bed. And I think in early February, this degree number will become exact. Saturn deals with government, infrastructure, business of all kinds. Neptune deals with scandals, hidden things, hidden agendas, gaslighting. Look at all the propaganda lying. This is all happening in America's fourth house, which deals with what? Real estate. families, the mother in particular. And do you remember in my warnings in the past, I said we're gonna see a lot of domestic stuff happening in the States. So we've got this bizarre, but really for me, it is about this combination here. If there was one thing, if I could wave a magic wand and change the Declaration of Independence chart, if I could change the chart, it would be that combination. If I could reconfigure that somewhere else, I would. Sadly, I can't. Because for me, this is the really dark, weird, messed up stuff that we're seeing. And of course, this is also a Pluto, America's first Pluto return. You'll see here where it says TR, this means transits. Pluto is currently at 8 degrees and 8 minutes retrograde. Yeah. So, and Pluto takes 248 years to go around the sun, but you can call it 250 years. America's going to be what? 250 next 4th of July. Yeah. So I'm stopping the share there. Hopefully you guys were able to follow along with that. I hope that made sense for you. So you see what I'm talking about. I don't talk about it, that combination, that Pluto K2 combination, too much. And I have been thinking about it for years, honestly, guys, for years. And I've been saying to myself, I'm going to have to talk about this. I'm going to have to talk about this in the US Constitution, the US Declaration of Independence chart at some point, because of the manifestations of it. These billionaires, they are crazy. They are headless. I'm really starting to believe now that there is an element here, even with the techies. And Naomi Klein was talking about this. She did like an op-ed, as you would say, in The Guardian, just talking about this kind of doom and destruction sort of ideology that these billionaires have. Let me see if I can find it. Naomi Klein, billionaires. Who's that? Oh, well, look, there's one here from Rolling Stone. Oh, well, I think in many ways that already. Oh, look at this. Look at this. All right, let me just share this now. This is echoing what Angela was just saying. Share screen. Where is it? And she's saying here, Rage of the Oligarchs. So May 4th, 2025. She says, Naomi Klein, what they want is absolutely everything. Yeah. Think about, like I was saying, that plutocrats with this kind of insane kind of combination of this K2. Rahu and K2 are very obsessive, but K2 can be extremely obsessive. Like you've heard me say before, he has this kind of geeky quality to him. Not that geeks are bad. I'm a geek. I'm a geek of astrology. I'm sharing my geekery with you all. And I'm a geek for my client's charts. And I adore, going in and bringing up all the information. And you could say it's a well-managed obsession in a way. It's a gift, but it's something that I work on every day. Every single day, I will be learning something about astrology or refining my technique or just deepening my knowledge on something. That's me using that K2. I like to think in a positive way. But can also, when it's in combination with Pluto, then the plutocrats can get obsessive with their money to the point of exclusion of everything else. So it says here, the all-star academic and shock doctrine author breaks down the dark logic of Trump and Musk's path of destruction and what he and the world's richest people really want. So I think this just encapsulates what I've been saying, isn't it? So this rolling, so I don't think, is it going to let me read it? Oh, let's see here. Wherever the corporate power is running roughshod over culture, the climate, the economy, wherever corporate power is running roughshod over culture, the climate, the economy, or our politics, progressives can count on Naomi Klein to provide a clear-eyed assessment of the damage and to offer pathways to resist with hope rather than cower in despair. So there are solutions. I just want to add that. A social activist and public intellectual, Klein is the author of The Shock Doctrine, about how right-wing elites leverage moments of crisis to advance unpopular economic agendas. This article is perfect. Good job, Rolling Stone. I've not read it before. I've just come across it. And this changes everything: capitalism versus the climate, an examination of how free market dogma is accelerating the threat to our planet's survival. Her most recent book, Doppelganger, limbs how conspiracy culture is shattering our notions of shared reality. Here it is. Klein recently co-authored an essay for The Guardian sounding the alarm about the dark world view of politically insurgent tech billionaires like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, who is just terrifying, that man. Klein views these men who are guiding Donald Trump's presidency, so here we are, as abandoning any positive vision for our collective future and instead retrenching in preparation for a dark, nearly end times level social collapse from which they and the other elites emerged unscathed and all powerful. They are delusional. Without us, they have nothing. This is the headless part. They don't get it. If there's no one there to buy their stuff, they won't have anything. If the whole planet is destroyed and nothing grows, they won't have anything. You can only live on tin beans for so long. You see the headlessness. This is what I'm talking about, the K2 aspect here. The governing ideology of the far right in our age of escalating disaster, she writes, has become monstrous supremacist survivalism. I think I'll leave it there, otherwise we'll be slitting our own throats. But I hope, you know, I wasn't expecting to stumble across that the article, but you see, this is what I have been seeing in the US Declaration of Independence chart. But I didn't want to say it years ago because it would have spooked to me. I mean, I did mention it, but out of all my 700 plus whatever videos, I probably did maybe 2 or 3 videos on it. So many of you may have missed it. But this is for the first time in a long time I'm sharing again that explicit observation, because that is how I observe that energy. And this can be changed. But I think, and this is maybe quite a radical idea, I think it is reaching the point now where the Declaration of Independence chart or the Constitution has to be changed to change America's fate. The trouble is, this is a Pluto return. So if it happened in the next few years, Pluto would still be in Capricorn, but K2 wouldn't be there. Ooh, you could have Rahu there. Oh dear, that wouldn't be ideal, right? Rahu is currently in sidereal Aquarius. And then he spends, the nodes of the moon spend 18 months in one sign. I mean, ideally, you would want that Pluto on its own. Yeah, that Pluto on its own without Rahu or K2 there. So, and then I would also as well make sure that all those planets in the 7th house were somewhere else as well. Maybe I'll look into that actually, which would be, that could be a good show, don't you think? Where I would look at what would be the ideal time for America to have a new constitution. Yeah, when the planets were in positive, you know, positive, well-placed places. I would say realistically, Saturn in Pisces is not terrible, but it's not great. Doesn't always give the best result. You don't want to do it when Saturn is debilitated in Aries, which is coming up in the next few years. He's going to spend the next 2 years or so in sidereal Pisces and then move into Aries. Don't want it then. Maybe when he's in sidereal Taurus, which would be about 5 to 6 years from now. That would be a better placement. By then, Rahu and K2 should have moved off. Yeah, they should have moved off, and maybe K2 probably, no, what I'm talking about, Rahu would probably be in Scorpio or something like that by that point. Ideally, when Rahu's in Libra, that might be a better one. In fact, you know, I'm quite curious. Actually, I want to have a look. No, it would take too much time, and the time has already gone so much already. Let's just see here. Look, good, some clarification here. The tea tax was the last straw in a series of unjust acts. Yes, that is a very good point. Actually, I shouldn't just say it was just the tea. That is a point. Maybe the straw to bait the camel's back, but I think it was 3%. Old Silver says our wages are way behind record profits we're making for these jerks. Indeed, yeah. Let's just see here, more clarification. Chris saying the colonists' discontent over taxation without representation played a significant role in fostering their desire for independence and ultimately fueled the Revolutionary War. Yes, it did. The irony is that, do you remember how I said when planets return, it can be like a mirror? Whenever a planet comes back to where it was in the original chart, we have to reflect and understand and try and integrate those lessons that may not have been processed yet. But it can also be like a mirror. Pluto return has happened, and it's now the Mad King is now in the White House. Do you see what I mean? And that's what I've said before. It's like the madness of King George, but the other way around. This time, the crazy king is in the White House. But again, we have a king in England or in Britain again. Because now we've got King Charles. Interesting. Do you see that mirroring? Because, of course, Britain's fates and Americans' fates are both actually connected with that Declaration of the Independence chart, because the Declaration of Independence was to be free of, at that time, England. Yeah. And at the moment, we're having a bit of a political revolution happen in the United States as well. I mean, in the UK as well. Let's not also forget as well that it was when Brexit happened, this also made the idea of Trump more plausible. He probably still would have got voted in the first time anyway, and we're talking 2016, but it made it more plausible. So let's just see here. Oh, someone's a bit of Bible verse here. Let's get stuck in the Bible verse. What would it mean if you gain the world and lose your soul? Yeah, indeed. And yeah, Chris says the love of money is the root of all evil. Indeed, because it's not just money is like energy, but it's the love, this obsession with it is the root of all evil. As Seafresh says, construction industry is getting slow because of material demand, plus workers are being deported. Yeah. And then Brenda says, yes, Chris. Andrew says the 1% are obsessed with money. Yes, they are. Never satisfied. They're insatiable. And this is what I'm saying. It's that Pluto with the K2 combination. It's that Pluto K2, which for me is the I'm just saying, if Pluto is retrograde, does it mean that the issues 250 years come around again? Well, they do, yes, but they do anyway, because it's a retrograde. I mean, it's a return. And then someone's saying, thank you, Yogi, have a safe flight. And someone put here, Pam says, if I'm correct, part of Project 2025 includes Constitutional Congress to enshrine their agenda. Oh my God, I certainly hope not. And then Angela says the madness of King George, and Ellen Z says thanks so much for checking in. We need you. So look, I just thank you. I'm going to leave it there. That's just a bit of food for thought. But what I'm saying is the way I see things going, if it continues down this route, then I think blue states at some point are going to take it into their own hands and be like, enough. Because there are still good leaders out there. You know, there are. Not every single one of them has been kind of co-opted. California, again, on its own is the fourth largest economy on the world. If there was one state that could do it, it would be California. And then I would say maybe New York. Not the whole of New York State. Maybe New York as we understand it, the cosmopolitan part. But remember, they don't have as much food as they don't have, well, California has the food, it's got the goods, basically. So we will have to see how it goes. But I just wanted to show you that combination. And it was good that I was able to share that article from Naomi Klein and the other bits and bobs, just to understand it's a sickness. They are not well. These people are just deeply, deeply corrupt. And hopefully we'll be able to get rid of them. Yeah. And I think they will be gotten rid of, because the economics of things will just dictate it. And even if you're a billionaire, it doesn't mean you know the future. Yeah. Doesn't mean you know the future, and they're crazy. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I wish I could have been a bit more, a bit more optimistic, but we have to discuss these things because this is what they're up to, and it's what I'm saying is not particularly controversial. Melissa says, TSM, the great show, so appreciated. And also was saying narcissists. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they are. And then Katie says they are. And then, oh, here we are. More says Virginia will definitely vote blue in the midterms in 2028 presidential election after the big beautiful bill. Yeah, people aren't happy with Trump. Indeed, indeed. This can't last forever, guys. It cannot last forever. Anyway, I will leave it there. I should get some sleep. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. And please, of course, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, and just in case you haven't already, actually plenty of people have, but just in case you've not seen, I'm offering my summer sales. So if you put Hoagie20 all uppercase in the checkout on my website, you'll get 20% off all my consultations that are an hour and more. I've only got one that is less than an hour, which is like a 45-minute tarot reading, but everything else is 20% off. So remember, Hoagie20 all uppercase like that. Yeah. Dive in, get stuck in. I'll be doing it probably to the 12th of August, something like that. So it's a great opportunity, great time to have something you want to chew the card, look at work, career, life, purpose. Many people obviously are doing looking at the astrocartography, but not everyone. And if you've got anything you want to ask me about, I'm sure I'll be able to help you. And thank you, Pam Stanton, so much for your kind donation. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, everyone, for joining me. And you will see me very soon. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Otherwise, I'll just keep going on. Mwah. Big love, everyone. And sleep well. And don't worry, this will come to an end eventually. Yeah, it will. It's not sustainable. This will end. Anyway, catch you soon.